Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the session of the first session of English class here. So today we are going to begin a new poem. It is an old woman by a poet called Arun Kulatkar. Okay, and dear students, as we worked on the farmer's wife yesterday, see, if you just look at the comprehension part of the poem Farmer's Wife, okay, I'll just go back and clarify some of the confusions over there, or the questions there, here, and the distribution of mark once again to that poem. So there you have again, as I said, the distribution of marks for the poem The Farmer's Wife. 1 mark question 1. Okay, 1 mark question. Plus you have 1 4 mark question and 4 mark question. So you have 5 marks altogether, or you may have 6 mark 1 question plus 1 mark 1, that is 7. Okay, so this is the expected distribution of marks in the examination. Either you will get okay, this or this. 1 mark question 1 and 6 mark question 1, 7 or 5 mark. So will be distributed, allotted to your poem, that is The Farmer's Wife. And children, I want you to go back to the old poem in which we dealt yesterday, and go to page number 87, the comprehension 2 here is main question number 2 there. See, the questions goes like this. Many times the tone suggests the attitude of the speaker. Okay, many times when you read poems, and the tone, the rhythm suggests the attitude of the speaker. Yes, because see here Olga and the farmer's wife there. If you take both these characters, and we know that she is a feministic writer, isn't it? She includes feminism in her works. She wanted to educate so-called women folk who are background, who are depending upon the males or the man in her family, and was not aware of the outer world as such, because the system itself made her innocent, or not knowing what is happening around her. So that is the thing. It is not the mistake of the woman there. It is the society. It is the male dominant society which has not given her freedom, or is a facility where she can go and get education, or go and get awareness what is happening around her. So here Olga, she is rightly emotional, sentimental, or involved in the plight of the farmer's wife here. Why? Because she is in difficulty. She is in sorrow. She is the facing loneliness. or expressing her inability here, by knowing the treatment and the policies of our society here, she expresses a kind of emotion where it supports to the woman that became a widow in this plot story of the poem here. So since she is a feminist writer, since she has a soft corner on so-called the woman here who has lost her husband here, so the tone, both of them tones, though the farmer's wife's tone as well as is equal to Olga's tone here. Isn't it? So that is what we find. And that's what's good. Many times the tone suggests the attitude of the speaker. Yes, the attitude of the Olga is very serious and very bad, sad, sorrowful about the condition of the farmer's wife in this poem who has lost her husband. Isn't it? So that is why they are equal here. What kind of attitudes are suggested by the words virtuous, poor sinner, he is but a man? What of this? Why is this? See, just to understand, because we have studied and explained so many things, so many explanations about these things here in the poem while we dealing with the poem. Okay, I think you know them, the meaning of these things and the attitude in these words or the phrases given here. Yes, virtuous, poor sinner, that is herself, virtuous, farmer's husband, the farmer, he is but a man. So the way she excuses here, what of this? Why is this? So suicide committing. Why you are committing suicide? And what for you are committing suicide? Is there any necessity of committing yourself suicide in this life? You never thought anything about your family or the future of your children as such. So all these things we came to know that while dealing with the text here. Then you see, the next question here. So you may get, or I think such question, it is difficult to expect or guess here. But second one, you see, what kind of questions does the poem raise about the plight of farmers, widows? Do you think that these questions are only addressed to the speaker's dead husband? No, not at all. Okay, think of these things from the text or the poem, okay, that we have dealt in the previous class, that is the farmer's wife. And coming to the new poem, the 11th unit from your textbook, and page number 96 and 97, 98, open 98. So there is a picture of a poet given here who is Arun Kolatka. Okay, now see, this is also one of the simple poem and familiar, or make us simple or easy to study the condition of an old woman. What sort of old woman She is what Arun Kolatkar's character in this poem. Why is he speaking about this woman? Oh. And here it is Kolatkar's poem. So, to know this, at the outside, you have to read about the author here. Arun Kolatkar was born in the year 1932 and he was educated in Mumbai, where he worked as a graphic artist. Listen. The profession of the poet, graphic artist. Okay. Then, a winner of the Commonwealth Poetry Prize, Commonwealth Poetry winner of the award called Commonwealth Poetry Prize. It's not an ordinary award to be given here. Commonwealth countries, it is a branch of a literature where all the Commonwealth countries are included here. India, Sri Lanka, okay, Bangla, Pakistan, okay, Bhutan, Nepal, all these countries together are called as Commonwealth here. And there is a divisions in a literature. So that is one. And award he got, okay, Commonwealth Poetry Prize. And then Kolatkar has contributed his works or writings to the book called Kavi, Opinion Literary Review, New Writing in India, and The Shell and the Rain. So all these are books, periodicals, mainly includes the literary articles, reviews, stories, novels, whatever it is produced as the best. So such works have been included in these periodicals or books of literature here, English literature. See, the magazine or the book called Kavi, under the title Kavi, and Opinion Literary Review, it is also the magazine and gives us the ample examples of the writers of poetry here. And New Writing in India is, so it deals with the current themes written in English literature, and such articles and works have been published in this particular book called New Writing in India. Then The Shell and the Rain is also a standard and a magazine and a book, magazine which used to publish the writings here. And in almost all these magazines and books of literature, we see the works of Arun Kolatkar have been published. And imagine, by profession is a graphic designer, a graphic artist. Then he is a bilingual poet and has translated Marathi poems And yes, he's a bilingual. He used to write in Marathi also. And sometimes he used to write in Marathi and translated them into English. And then from English to Marathi. So, a graphic designer or an artist dealing or has produced such a wonderful literature of poetry here. Imagine. And I was telling you that he was a bilingual poet who has translated Marathi poems here. And this poem is selected from a Jejuri, a collection of his poems. So this poem selected from his book of poems called Jejuri. Okay, book of poems, what we call Kavana Sankalana, is collection of his poems. And we have selected from the book, his book of poems called Jejuri. Which one? An Old Woman. Imagine one of the famous collection, one of the famous book of poems of Karnataka. So we have this poem first from this Jejuri collection of poems here. So then, coming to a note on the pre-reading activity here. Have you ever visited a tourist place, pilgrim center, and what fascinates you there? Yes. Tourist center. Okay, I want you to think about this tourist center or place. Okay, you can say anyone among this. Okay, let us take a place only. Okay, tourist place or a pilgrim center. So tourist place may include temple, ancient monuments, okay, special historical adventurous things or the tourist place. That they may be famous for climate, weather, nature, landscapes, whatever, isn't it? Or they may be famous for their historical background or any revolts against British freedom movements as such. Or they may about the temples built by our ancient kings and queens also. So all those things include in this thing what tourist places. Then pilgrim centers. Did you visit any pilgrim center? And What exactly the pre-reading section requires here? Have you ever visited tourist place or a pilgrim center? And what fascinates you there? Then you should trace out the things that fascinated you. Or attracts, you can say this also. Okay, to discuss on this topic, dear students, it's simple. See, for example, the clue is given in the same topic here, the activity. Is it the buildings, landscapes, or people? Share your opinion with your friends. So, buildings, landscape, or people. So, the topics that you may include. So, the culture and the buildings over there. Okay. Landscapes. Yes, what is that? Landscape. And then all the people. Sometimes people also inspire us, okay, attract us with their typical distinct qualities as such. And divine places, natural beauty, okay. Like Agumbe, we have sunrise and sun setting scenes. Okay, in different seasons, asset or history, historic importance. See, these are the things that we were attracted by when you go to the distant places or the tourist places as such. Why do you go as a tour, arranging it as a tour? So because the places are famous for one or the other. Because the places may give us a peace of mind, an entertainment, okay, and a long leave in the pressure that we have today as such. So, keeping those things in mind, we try to conduct ourselves trips or tours in our life here. Isn't it? So now, my dear students, you can understand, you can think of these things here. So what is it the author Arun Kolatka takes up this poem? It is the building, that is the temple over here, which is famous for historical importance, that is temple. Okay. It is famous for historical importance. And then one more thing, the place fascinates the author about the people here. So who is the people here? The old woman here. So the character of old woman attracts here. What is that? The character of the old woman attracts or fascinates the poet here. So this is what is important here. So when he had been to this place, when he had been to a temple in his life, he saw an old woman over there, and he was caught up with her character, typical or a distinguished character, and get attracted to it. And he has included those experiences are over there in the poem called An Old Woman Here. Got it? Yes. See, whenever we go for such tours and trips in our lives, so we will get attracted to or fascinated to some things over there. Whether the language, the dress, okay, the water practices there, and the climate there, and the natural, beauty over there. So they may attract us, and we may start, capturing those beautiful, sights, okay, when we go to trips as such. So that is the thing. But here, for Arun Kolatka, the picture of old woman and the way she leads her life, and the way she behaves with the people coming to that particular place attracts him, fascinates him. Though the people never wish to communicate with this lady, old woman over there, the author gets attracted to her, and in surprise he collected and conversed with the woman here, and found some realities of that woman, and wrote them in his poem, An Old Woman. And now it's our duty to study and see what are the things of the old woman that he writes or explains or caught up in his poem, An Old Woman Here. And dear students, he is an author, the writer was living in Mumbai, and he was very much well versed in what is famous as an artist in graphics, the so-called computer graphics that we say, okay, designing through electronic media. And he was a professionally technical man, and has also a very soft corner, kind heart towards the pathetic position or situation of the old woman here. Okay. And is it have you ever visited a tourist place, pilgrim center? What fascinates you there? Is it the buildings, landscape, or people? Share your opinion with your friends. Okay, you can conduct it as a group discussion and take up the topic, and you can write you can present your opinions amongst yourself, and also you can arrange that as a group discussion, and the topic should be highlighted, mentioned there, and each one of you should narrate the things in the poem, and finally you can have a question hour where each one of you will ask a question, so to your friends only, then you can understand this poem very well here. Yes, that is not a much easier one. Then See, here is a place, a tourist place. It is a place which is famous for divine quality, a place where many people used to come every day to perform the prayers to God here. So that's what we come to know, that since it is a temple, all these things are happenings of that particular place here. So we can easily say these things, isn't it? What exactly is happening, we can't say. Since it is a temple, people used to come there regularly, isn't it? Because we believe in God. We pray for God every time, every day in our life, isn't it? So that's what our practice, our tradition, our culture and the practices are concerned. So we can say that easily. And since it is a famous historical temple, the tourists used to come over there. And there was an old woman, she was with a bent back, and she had a stick in her hand, and it shows that she is aged and became old. And she tries to help or works as a guide in this particular place. She used to take the people, whoever visits there, and explain some of the information about the temple in which she knew about. And that is what her profession in that place. And the old woman, the character old woman, has nobody to take care here. She is the only woman, only old woman nobody to take care. Think of this. When there is nobody in her life to support, to encourage, or to take care her, because she is aged, so there must be somebody who has to take care of this old woman. But she has no such relations in her life. And to live, she has to work. She is that type of personality here. She never depends on anybody, though she has nobody in her life. She never begs. She don't want also. She don't want to beg. She don't want to sit quietly and become the victim of a death here. She don't want to die also. And she want to live. Why? Because she has born to live. She is born to die is different one. But in between birth and death, she has to live. So for that living, she has to perform or work something to get food and shelter, isn't it? At least food and other comforts, basic comforts here. So to lead her life, she used to perform her duty as a guide in that place. What is that? As a guide. Whatever the people say to her, Whether they say negative things to her, whether they scold or abuse her, she never ever used to leave them from her hand. Okay, because she has no other duty to do that. And she never had fixed a price, particular price over here or a higher price like that. It is a very much a small amount, meager amount she expects the tourist people to pay her after performing her duty as a guide. Imagine what sort of an old woman she is or she was. So it is the story of this old woman who never ever depended on anybody. So it is that story of the old woman where Arun Kolatkar used to picturize here. And even Kolatkar supports the status of the old woman here. The way she became a victim in her life to the situation here has been described really very well. Okay, sentimentally. So the reader will look at the old woman after reading the poem, while reading the poem, because she is old, aged, and nobody to help her or to take care. So this is what the exact situation where the old woman was in this poem here. So now, dear students, it's time, okay, before we wind up today's session, first session, we will just read out the poem. I'll just read out the poem and listen carefully. An old woman. An old woman grabs hold of your sleeve and tags along. She wants a 50 paise coin. She says she will take you to the horseshoe shine. We have seen it already. She hobbles along anyway and tightens her grip on your shirt. She won't let you go. You know how old women are. They stick to you like a bird. You turn around and face her with an air of finality. You want to end the farce. When you hear her say, "What else can an old woman do on hills as wretched as these?" you look right at the sky, clear through the bullet holes she has for her eyes. Okay, we will stop here. Thank you, everybody.